Hello, my lovely. You didn't get to where you are in your business by doing shit the way that everybody else does. And you know that what got you to where you are now is not going to get you to where you want to be. And if you are listening to this podcast, it's because you want to be the go to for what you do better than anyone else. Your brilliance is the niche. Being you, that bold, unfuckwithable presence that you've secretly been craving to set free, she is in there. And that means you will have to burn some old bridges down. And attracting your people will also repel those who are not for you. Fucking hooray. Becoming a force of nature business and brand means no more Miss People Pleaser, no more hiding your turbo brain, no more dimming down jack shit. And if you have ever been told to tone it down as a woman with ADHD, it's time to tone your shit all the way the fuck back up. That is how you create unstoppable momentum in your business and visibility that is something you've been avoiding, but that you truly want. This podcast is about stepping into your upgrade, watering down anything, never change the fucking world. You were not born to be forgettable. And as one of my all-time favorite quotes says, well-behaved women rarely make history, and nothing about you or me is well-behaved, at least not anymore. In today's episode, I have a fellow business coach come into the studio with me for a coffee chat. We discuss what it really means when you hear the term be you everywhere and think, what the fuck does that even mean? The fact that if you want personal growth, the best way is to start a business, and how she took her business from being a profitable business that she fucking hated to a business that she loves and is obsessed with by breaking the fucking rules. Because as you know, around here, my business ethos is fuck the rules. There aren't any. We're all just making it up as we go along. So you may as well just build the business you want to have and have a brand that is fully of you. You are going to fucking love this discussion. So from one force of nature business owner to another, turn the volume up to an 11 and let's get fucking feral. Welcome back to the ADHD Entrepreneur, the podcast for feral as fuck ADHD women in business who refuse to play by the rules. My name is Carrie. I'm your host. I'm the head bitch in charge around here. I am the chief weirdo of my brand, Carrie Out Loud. And if you're new here, welcome. I am so glad you found the podcast. If this episode has an impact on you or helps you in any way, please do me a quick favor and subscribe, turn on the notifications, and leave a 5-star rating and review of what your takeaway was, because that will help other women like you find this podcast. So let's get into it with my guest. I will have her introduce herself and tell you her origin story. So let's get into it. In today's episode, I'm so excited to have a guest with me. I do not do a lot of guests on the podcast, so when I do, it makes me excited because you're not just hearing my voice all the time. So I am going to let my guest introduce herself, tell a little bit about her, and then we will dive into the topic of really what it's like when you finally set yourself free from thinking you have to fit in and do things like everybody else, and how you are able to do things differently and what that does for you and for your business. So I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you, Carrie. I'm so excited to be here. So my name is Kasey. I have a little bit of a long backstory. I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. So I started out in the online space back in 2020 as a functional nutritionist. I was a physician assistant and hated my job.
Yeah.
Got into functional medicine and I was like, I'm going to change the world. And so I started my business back then and had my first like $10,000 month, I think within 6 months of starting or something along those lines. And I grew a multi-6-figure business doing that. But I got to the point where I hated what I had built. And I have worked with a lot of clients that come in
Yeah.
that are, you know, that are just like, they feel trapped and they feel boxed in and they
Hmm.
don't feel excited by their businesses. They're not having a lot of fun anymore. And I totally hit that point in my business too. And I remember when I really figured it out and when I was really like, wait a minute, I can actually do this how I want to build it. I don't have to be so templated, so boxed in, so
Hmm.
formulaic and all of the things. And that's really when my business exploded from like 7 to 10K months to 20 to 30K months.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah. And so I got to the point then that I was like, well, I have to teach other people how to do this, right?
Yes,
So
of course.
you get into one industry and I'm like, I'm going to shatter this industry. And I then hit the point where I was like, well, I need to shatter the business coaching industry. And so pivoted into the business mentorship space. And now I walk my clients into $20,000 months and beyond. And I have clients that are just doing wild, incredible things right now. Like they're launching product lines and supplement lines. And like,
That is so
it's
cool.
so cool. But more importantly, we're breaking them out of the mold, you know,
Yes.
and we're breaking them out of that, like, that I say this all the time, but like we're breaking them out of that like sea of sameness and making them an
Yes.
industry of one. And so that's really like what my mission and my passion is helping my clients become an industry of one
Hmm.
where your brand can't be overlooked anymore, where clients are
Right.
no longer skipping past you. They're
Hmm.
just so magnetized and drawn in by who you are
Hmm.
and how you move and how you lead yourself and the results that your clients are getting, that it's like, duh, of course I'm going to hire you.
Yes.
So
Well, and I love that because I think we have a similar mission with just a slightly different demographic. That's it.
yeah.
Like I work exclusively with late diagnosed ADHD women in general, but a lot of the time it's late diagnosed because that's what I tend to attract. But I think we walk them through a similar process with our own processes, right? It's like, hey, you do not have to have a dysregulated nervous system. You do not have to speak jargon and talk like everybody else. You do not have to have a brand that blends in. You know, as a matter of fact, your job here is to stick out like a sore fucking thumb and be in Technicolor while everybody else is in grayscale and black and white. It's undeniable. And so I think that we carry that similar mission. And I think that's really the conversation we wanted to have today. And I was on a phone call yesterday with somebody who used the term sea of sameness. And I had a freebie a couple years ago called Standout. And my tagline was literally how to stand out in a sea of sameness. It was one of my most popular freebies at the time. But that's something that we are here to do. There's a lot of noise on social media, and the best way to not get seen is to do what everybody else is doing and speak how everybody else is speaking and dress how everybody else is dressing, instead of letting your feral fucking self be all parts and pieces. And that doesn't mean tell your entire life to the interwebs. Okay, that is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is if there are things you are not saying, if there are things you feel and you are not putting out there about your industry or about how your clients can move in a different way, if you aren't speaking those things out loud, what the fuck are you even doing? Right?
Right.
And that's where it shifts, is when you stop holding those things back. So what do you think was, I know your story, so I want to have you tell a little bit about the portion of the program where you were like, wait a minute, why am I sitting here trying to be like everybody else? Because what I want my clients to be is one of one, right? It's like, you're not the best, you are the fucking only. That
Yeah.
is the vibe, right? In what you do, your specialty, you know, your industry. So what was the moment? Because I think you told me when we did a live together, what was the moment where you went, I need to let that bitch out now
Mhm.
because I feel way too caged in? What was that moment for you?
Yeah, it was. So that was one of those moments where, I feel like I even remember what I was wearing that day. It's like so really
Seriously.
vivid in my
Right?
mind.
Right. We all have
Um,
that turning point where yeah,
yeah,
go on.
yeah,
Hmm.
yep. So it was August, and I was still taking sales calls, and I was
Hmm.
running my signature offer. And so I think that month, in addition to my full time job, I think I had like 30 sales calls in 1 month. It was
Holy
batshit crazy. It was, I don't know how I did it. I don't think I
Kasey.
slept. I don't know. And so,
Holy
the
shit.
very,
I'm going to stop you real quick.
I know.
I can't go past that. I can't go past that. 30 sales calls in a month.
Yeah. It
is
wrecked me.
like, go on. I can't even fathom that. Like, what was was it more of that more is more thinking, or was it because that was what you were taught? That's what you thought you had to do? Like, what inspired you to do that?
It's 100% because of what I had been taught. So
Ah,
that was 2021, I think a lot of people were still doing sales calls. I think we've really I still have clients that do them because they love them, but
yes.
I think, we weren't really like moving 100% into DM selling yet. And I was still
Right.
fairly new.
Right.
And I was so afraid that if I didn't follow the rule book like to a T, that I was going to fail. I was
Yes.
terrified. I was like, if I miss one Instagram live, my business is going to fall
Yes.
apart. If
Yeah.
yeah,
What the fuck is that about? Like, oh, go
yeah,
on. Go on. We'll
I
get
yeah,
in. We'll
it's a
come back
whole
to
other
that.
we could open a whole other Pandora's box.
Yeah.
But I remember like that month I did my very last sales call for the month before the program started. And my husband had walked out of his office and he was like, "How did it go?" And I just broke down. Like
Mm,
full on meltdown. I had my first $20,000 cash month and I was on the floor fucking sobbing
right.
because I hated what I had built. So like the
Yeah.
money to me in that moment didn't matter. It didn't matter at
Yeah.
all. My nervous system was totally fried.
Right.
But from that point, I started questioning everything. I was like, wait a minute, like why am I doing a sales call for an offer that the cutoff was like $999? If it's $999, you can sell it in the DMs. If it's $1,000 or more, it has to be a sales call. And I'm like, who made the $1 discrepancy?
Yes.
And so I started questioning those things and I
Yeah.
started questioning like, why is this the way? Why can't I do it this way? Why can't I show up like this? I've had coaches tell me that my content was too harsh, that I was being too much, that I need to tone myself down. And I abided by all of the rules and I never felt like I hated my business more.
Yeah.
And so that was like that pivotal moment, that wake up call where I literally remember just going like, fuck it, and just scrapping everything and being like, I'm just going to do, I'm just going to do me.
Yeah.
As basic as it
Uh,
sounds.
no, and it's so funny. My business ethos has been for the last several years. Fuck the rules. There aren't any. We're all just making them up as we go along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally.
And
And
there are some pieces like there, you have to understand marketing, you have to understand
sure.
biopsychology, sales psychology, all of those
Yes.
things.
Yes.
But it's like once you've got that stuff nailed down and you
Yeah.
understand who you're speaking to and you have a real content strategy and you know how to like position yourself as an authority and all of those things, it's like then we have to unbox you.
Yes.
Then we have to like strip away a lot of that rigidity and the templates and the frameworks and the formulas and the
Hmm.
yeah.
And it's learn the rules to break them. It's funny because
Ooh, I love
in this, yeah, learn the rules to break them. Seriously, like you learn the rules and you understand the underlying hum of different elements of your business, and then you take the fucking training wheels off.
that.
Bye bye,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because the reason I put that my new program that's inside of the Neurospicy Sisterhood, why that's connected, that's my hybrid mastermind. It's called the Anti-Framework Playbook for a reason. It's because it's customizable. However, I teach 101, like marketing 101. Nobody, it's so rare that I look around and people are like mofu, bofu, and tofu. They're like, what the hell is that? Top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel content. What that means, the fact that your audience is every person in there is at a different place.
Mm-hmm.
You're there to speak directly to the person. You have to understand who the fuck that is. You have to understand what they're thinking. You do have to understand those things. That's part of market research. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
But once you have that basic understanding, then you take off the rule, you take off the training wheels and you do you. Are there those little elements that you're going to put in there? Yes, because you can't have no strategy
Right.
and you can't have rigid strategy. Some people do great just intuitively. They're lucky. Some people do great with super rigid strategy.
Mm-hmm.
There is this place in the middle though, and I think you hit a huge nail on the head. There are so many coaches, mentors, strategists who are saying there's one way to do this. And I've been around these digital streets since 2019 and I've done business since 1999, right? I had businesses that were not coaching businesses before I ever made a dime as a coach. And so I bring some of that in, right? And then it sounds to me like you understand those elements and you can teach those elements to your people and then turn around and let them set themselves free from thinking there are so many rules. And you bet, like you said, what's that $1? Like, exactly. What's that
Yeah.
$1? I know people who close high ticket, like 10, 15, 20K if they want to, in the DMs,
Yep.
because the reputation is there. The person knows they want to work with you. They've done their research. Buyers are different and more savvy now. And I love that. I love that people are more, they care. Like if someone wants references from me, I'll give them to them. I
Mm-hmm.
have references. If people want to talk to people who have worked with me in any different capacity, I have human beings they can go talk to, right? I have the screenshots, but I also have human beings. It's like we don't just go interview for a job and they're like, okay, I'm not going to check your references. Or, our
Yeah.
references may be in our social proof. It may be putting social proof with kind of walking people through that. But these are the things, you and I both know this. The loudness on social media is in the mediocrity. The
Yeah.
people who are in the average and who are in the mediocre are the ones who are in that sea of sameness.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you know you want to go to a higher level in a different place, whatever that business model looks like to you. It can be many different things. But when you decide that you're going to step up into that, you were talking about authority. You know,
Mm-hmm.
authority for ADHD brains, we're like, fuck the authority, But what it really means is what you are the best at and speaking with confidence about what you're the best at. So how do you help walk your clients into feeling like they're tiptoeing into feeling like they're the baddest bitch out there on the planet and they need to talk about that. They need to talk about their shit like the antidotes in it. How do
Yeah.
you walk your humans through that?
Yeah, it's so funny. I actually just had this conversation with a client before this call. Because so I have a client right now who's a nutritionist and she's just doing some wild, incredible things. But um, she was talking about how behind the scenes, when she works with her clients, there's all of this depth that goes into coaching.
Yes.
And I'm looking at her content and I'm like, where is this? Like, where is
Yes.
this in your content? Like, there's so
Right.
much depth and nuance and like legacy building that she wants to bring to the table.
Sure.
And yet her content hasn't totally matched that yet.
Right.
But part of it was that she wasn't fully seeing herself as a powerful human being.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us don't. We downplay our results, we downplay our client results. We
Mm-hmm.
just assume that the results that our clients are getting, it's just another Wednesday. When the
Exactly.
reality
Not.
is like you have some insane magic and
Yeah.
insane genius, insane skill set to bring to this world. If
Mm-hmm.
you're not loud about it, who's going to be?
Right.
If you're not talking your shit up, who's going to be doing that? It has to be
Yes.
you. And
Yes.
like, how are your high level clients going to know that you're the right one for them
Yeah.
if you're not out here like bragging about the work that you do and taking full ownership of the work that you
Right.
do? And so a lot of it, I think, for my clients is really getting them to see their own power.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of uh, noise in the coaching industry
Oh yeah.
about if you want to be like me, or if you want the results that I have, you need to be like me, you need to move
Yes.
like me, you need to decide like me, and then we all end up being carbon copies of each other.
Right.
And what this is really about is extracting my client's genius and pulling that to the forefront, because
Yes.
your genius is not the same as someone else's genius.
Yes.
And that's going to be the reason that your clients feel safe to invest $5,000-$10,000 with you in the DMs. So it really is a coming back home to who you are, owning your story,
Mm-hmm.
owning all of the pieces of you that are, maybe seeing the light of day, but maybe not seeing the light of day, most likely not.
Mm-hmm.
And then leveraging that in a way where it's like, this is why you should hire me instead of anybody else.
Right.
But you're not going to see it, or like your clients aren't going to see it unless you see it for yourself first.
Yes.
They're not going to be activated by you until you activate yourself.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. And there are a lot of coaches and mentors out there who what they want is to create carbon copies of them because ego is a real fucking thing. Like, let's be real. It's a real thing. When you find a coach who has no ego, meaning they're not trying to create a mini them, because
Mhm.
I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to create a mini me army of business owners.
Yeah.
I want them, like you, we want them to shine for who they are. And I think that the most important thing you're getting at here is, as a business mentor, coach, strategist, whatever, we are here to be a mirror to show
Yes.
people what they do not fully see about themselves. And also, not only do we do that, but if we have somebody in, say, a hybrid program where they get some one-on-one time with us, or and they're in maybe a group, that's how I have things, that,
Mhm.
and I love it. You know why? Because other people inside of those groups will reflect something to that person that they see, not your
Yep.
coach or mentor, because we're going to definitely say certain things to you, but other human beings who are going for things like you are, and who are high level, and who are fucking ballers, and they're looking at another client, they're talking, one of them's talking to another and going like, do you get how different XYZ is, or unique XYZ? Why aren't you shouting that shit from the rooftops?
Mhm.
So it's not only us giving those mirrors, but other business owners who are like, why aren't you walking around like your shit doesn't stink? Exactly. Why aren't you doing
Yeah.
that? And so them being able to see that through you, and also through other business owners, do you think that that plays a big role also in being mentorship, especially like in a mastermind or something like that? Do you find that that is so helpful to your clients as well? Because I do. I love that. Yeah.
100%. I think it's so so my signature offer right now, which is in the process of being a little bit revamped. I'm going to be on
Yes.
maternity leave in the fall, and so some things are shifting with my offer suite and all the things. But um I had a client that came in and she was like, I have not been seeing myself as a CEO. And she's like, I've been leading myself in my personal life like I'm not the CEO of an actual company.
Right.
And so we cracked open that conversation. She turned around and made like I can't even remember how it was, like $8,000 in sales in like a week or
Yeah.
something like that. Like just from
Yes.
cracking that wide open. But I had another client look at her and go, "Oh my God, that created so much momentum for me." She's like,
Yes.
just watching you move and watching you lead yourself, it's like I'm showing up in a bigger way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love those intimate spaces because like you can take this one of two ways, right? You could be in a group or a mastermind setting and have a victim mentality of like, oh,
Yes.
she's doing so much better than I am, whatever.
Yep.
But like the way that my clients operate and the way that I operate is like you see someone winning and you're like, fuck, I'm gonna go win too.
Yes. Yes.
It just
If
reflects it all back to you.
If I can, so can you. If she can, so can you. Why not you?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
not me? Why not us? And I agree with you. I look at ADHD through a strengths focused lens. Not everybody does. I know a lot of humans who are in victim mode when it comes to this, but I also know that I lived 49 years of my life without knowing it, had successes without knowing it. Like, the resilience that so many humans, not simply just ADHD humans, but the resilience that humans have, and the lens that we look at life through, it fucking matters. Who you surround yourself with
Yes.
fucking matters. If you are around a bunch of human beings who are woe is me, and you don't think that's going to permeate your life, you are mistaken.
Mhm. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's not about like, okay, I'm going to dump all my friends now and get new friends. But when it comes to like who you surround yourself with, fucking look around you. If you feel like you are not being supported by humans who are at a same level or want the kind of growth you do, you've got to get yourself around more of those human beings as well. Don't you think that that plays into this also, Kasey? What do you think?
Yeah, it always does. I mean, we're a byproduct of our environment,
Yes.
so and you can look at that through any lens in
Yeah.
life. If you're someone who, like so I'm an avid weightlifter and I mean I've been
Same.
lifting weights for God close to 15 years, I think.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heavy
And like
lifting. I love it.
yeah, and like if you're surrounding yourself with people who don't share those same values and they want to drink and party and like,
Yep.
they're like constantly berating you for wanting to eat healthy, it's like
Right.
what do you think your brain is going to start to believe?
Yes.
This it happens in every area of life where you are a byproduct of your environment. And so you have to choose your environment wisely.
Right. Right. No, it's true. I joke around. I'll post a picture of like something I'm about to deadlift. And I'm like, I'm at the bar. It's
Yeah.
definitely not the bar that other people are thinking about, but that's just that mentality is important. It is important to really consider who you have around yourself. And that's
Mhm.
not just in business, that's in life. It's like,
Yeah.
do you have people around you who support your goals? Like, it can be very hard for us to achieve certain things if some of the people around us don't support that. So we
Mhm.
have to find those humans who do support that in addition, because there are we can literally change any circumstance we want to. We
Yes.
always have choices,
Yep.
but not everyone is willing to make certain choices to
Yep.
have that higher bar in their life. Some
Mhm.
people are just not willing to do that.
Mhm.
And one of the things that you can start doing if that's where you feel like you're stuck is finding other business humans. I had somebody who found the podcast and she came into my DMs, and I knew that there were things that I could do to help her, but there was an environment I knew she needed to be in, and it was a friend of mine's program. And I
Mm.
knew that not the program, but just her account and the humans that were on her account. I just knew she needed to be there because of what she does. And I'm like, you need to find certain types of humans. I know that this is a place where they are, and this is her program, and this is what's involved. Like, I literally said all that. And she's like, do you know how much integrity I think you have about the fact that you sent me to somebody else's
Somebody
account?
else, I know.
Yeah, because it's not that I couldn't help her. I would love to help her at some point. But what I know what she needs right now is the environment of the humans around her. And it's not that they're not in my audience. It's just that I know the audience of my friend, and there are so many more of the type of people she needs in a specific industry. And that's why I sent her there. And I think that when we do right by our people, no matter what that looks like, that is what grows our business even more exponentially. When you show up as the fullest expression of yourself and you give a shit, but for real, for real.
Real.
Not
Yeah.
like, yes, I give a shit. Come into my mastermind. You're never going to see me. Here's a coach that I trained. When you fuck that shit.
Yeah.
No, no. I know there are business models for all different people. That's not mine. It definitely doesn't sound like it's yours either.
No.
Tell them about your Telegram. I just think this is genius. Tell tell
Oh,
tell the people about your
tell
Telegram. Tell the people.
people.
Yeah, this is just
Um,
a fucking fabulous. It's a free. It's a free. I hate calling it a freebie. It's a free resource. So
yeah.
yeah, share about it. This is so rad.
So first and foremost, you need to be there. That's the
Yes,
first thing I'll say. So my free
absolutely.
Telegram channel is called Big Money Queens, and it truly has evolved into this just like identity, of
Mhm.
like, uh, of just like a place where my clients and all of these incredible women come together and they're like, we are just building something so much bigger than ourselves. And
Yes.
I want to know how to get there. And
Mhm.
so it's a free Telegram channel. You can pop in, it's a broadcast style, and I drop audio riffs I'd say probably 2 to 3 times a week on average.
Yeah.
And it's everything from like leadership to strategy to
Yeah.
identity to behind the
So good.
scenes, how I'm building my business, what my
Yeah.
clients are up to, conversation. Like it's just pulling back the curtain.
So
And I
good.
fucking love it. It's so like,
So
it's one
good.
of those, yeah, it's one of those spaces that I'm just like, oh, I can just be on a dog walk and like record an audio training. Um, but yeah, it's been such an incredible space. And the women in that space are like, they're just powerhouses,
Yeah.
and it truly feels like an actual community. And I think
Yes.
so many people are kind of missing that aspect of business where it's like, oh,
Yes.
I just feel like I'm talking to a wall.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, you got to go connect with your people. You got to go nurture your people. You got to go serve your people. And I think, a lot of people look at that and why are you, giving away so much for free and a free Telegram space? I'm like, I don't gatekeep shit. You could go
Nope.
build a 6-figure business out of that Telegram space.
Yeah.
But it has led to just building like rapid trust with my
Yes.
audience to the point where they're like, hey, how can I work with you? Hey, how can I hire you? Hey, can I
Mhm.
join this offer?
Mhm.
And it's like you need to let your people experience you, but it has to come from a heart of service. I think that's one of like my biggest I guess values in business is like you
Yes.
have to have the heart of service first.
Yep. My value is you have to give a shit. I think that's just a
Yes,
different way of
literally
saying the
same
same
thing.
exact thing. And,
Yes.
Kasey and I were talking before I hit record, and my way of doing that is the podcast, right? But we have to do it in a way we're going to do. If you would have told me I would have recorded this podcast like 150 episodes, I'm now past that, but and for 3 years straight, I probably would have laughed in your face. But I knew that that was the way I wanted to use my voice. Somehow in the beginning of starting this podcast, somehow in the beginning of starting this podcast, I knew that I wanted to do that. But here's the thing: we have to do the thing we're going to fucking do.
Yeah.
So if we want to connect with the people, it's like a podcast may work for some. A broadcast channel in Voxer or a broadcast channel in Telegram or something like that may work for others. Some people have channels directly on their Instagram. Some people have close friends list that they drop things to for people who want to be VIPs. They'll put it in their stories, but it'll be, to highlighted people. There are so many different ways to make that deeper connection. And so if a podcast ain't it for you, something like a Telegram group, like what Kasey was doing, it can be free. It can be super low ticket. But that is creating the connection, and it's really letting people see how you roll. We are not for everyone. We're not supposed to be for everyone. If we were for everyone, can you imagine how busy we'd all fucking be? Like, no, we're not for everyone. So just like I know some of my clients may not be for Kasey, some of Kasey's clients may not be for mine, I'm not going to gatekeep someone like Kasey because I am, because, her and I do something similar. I want to talk to Kasey because her and I do something similar, but just for slightly different demographic of human beings, kind of. But really, at the end of the day, we're just here to tell you what we know. And I love that no gatekeeping. I will literally tell you everything you want to know in this podcast.
Yeah.
I just did a 6-episode series where I laid out my entire anti-framework playbook. I laid it all out there because you know what? You can find that basic information if you want it. It's there. I want to share it with my perspective and through that ADHD lens, right? So that's the way that I shared it. That is not going to stop people from hiring me. You sharing in a Telegram is not going to stop people from hiring you. It's actually going to make them think, wow, this is really my fucking person. Because you are, I think, in your most raw and real voice when you are dropping something on a dog walk.
100%.
Or when I'm sitting here inspired to talk about something in a podcast that just happened with a client or happened with myself. I think that this kind of raw realness is even more of that depth. Like you said, the no like trust factor. I think it really does give our clients or future clients a little bit of that peek to see, like, is this person my jam? Because some of it has to do with core values. Money values are different in different people. Some people like high ticket, some people like low ticket, some people like middle, some people like to keep things behind different levels of paywall. Like, you're allowed to do it however you want to, but really finding the person that you connect with and they understand where your goals are, and they're not just trying to make you a little version of them is so important. What do you think is what is the number one type of transformation your clients have that you love seeing? Like when that light bulb goes off in their brain. I love those fucking moments. Like I live for those moments. But what is the one light bulb that goes off in your clients that you love fucking seeing the most happen for them and the change that it creates in their business?
If I had to boil it down to anything, it would be okay. Well, let me preface this a little bit. So I had a couple clients on Instagram Live. I haven't done this in a hot second. It was sometime in 2024. And we just had this, they were having just insane wins. And so we had this incredible conversation on live. And every single client that came on, they didn't talk about the money.
Yeah.
They talked about becoming a more powerful version of themselves. And that is really like, I feel like that right there is just it for me. When my clients can actually see like, oh, holy shit, like I'm actually a really powerful human and I'm here to leave a legacy and I'm here to just build this like massive empire and this massive brand. And they're letting themselves be fully seen and fully who they are online. I'm like, you can feel that shift is palpable,
It is.
And I know a lot of times people think like, oh, it's not but you can't really like see it in my content or whatever. It's felt. It is a
Bullshit.
100% felt. I know. I'm like, I can see the moment that your content changes. I can
Yes.
see the moment that your messaging shifts, but it's
Yes.
all because you started to finally see yourself in a bigger light and you
Yes.
started to lead yourself in a bigger way and bring your audience along with you. Those are the moments for me that's like, this bitch is going to take over the world. You
Yes.
know, those are my
Yeah,
favorites.
it's that self-belief.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
And
for the women that I help, women with ADHD who are later diagnosed, we are told you are too big, you are too much, you are too this, you are too that, tone it down, da da da, all of this for a lifetime. And then we either get diagnosed or we are undiagnosed, but we're really vibing. We're like, yeah, I really think this is something I contend with. One of the biggest side effects of that is self-esteem, because before
Mhm.
that our self-esteem is in the shitter, it's in our shoes. We just are trying to hide, shrink, fit into boxes because that's what we've been told by society, by teachers, by parents, by friends, by family all this time. And then the best part is we come into the online arena. It's like stand out, stick out like a sore thumb, be all parts
Yeah.
and pieces of you. Okay, so first of all, at first it feels unsafe. It's like, wait, you want me to do the opposite of what I've been trying to do, and masking and all, like getting those masks off can be really fucking hard.
Yeah.
But once they come flying off, watch out, bitches. Because it's
Mhm.
like a whole other evolved part of you, because it's always you. It's always you. It's always in there.
Yes.
But it's that self belief of, wow, I am so much more powerful in using my voice in this way, that way, and the other way than I realized. And when they start seeing that translate and they really get that, it gets so much easier for them to lean into that. So that breakthrough, I love that. That breakthrough that you're talking about is something
Mhm.
that's so powerful no matter who you are as a woman. I think that
Yeah.
in society, just in general, how we've been taught to shrink ourselves and to be less. And here we are online going, be more, be all of
Right.
you, be the nooks, be the crannies, be your weird self, be your sweary self, be your quirky self, be your funny self, whatever that looks like for you, for your brand, and I think that those moments are so key. And I think that when you don't, look, Michael Jordan had a coach, fucking Kobe Bryant had a coach, like Simone Biles, Olympian,
Mhm.
has a fucking coach. If you think that these humans who are at a high level in any area of life, I'm just using sports as an example, don't have a mentor or a coach or somebody who strategizes with them, you're fooling yourself. And so
Mhm.
this isn't just to say hire a coach because you should pay people. No, that is how you get to a higher level of excellence at what you do. It is how you sharpen your sword, straight
Yes.
up.
Yep.
There's a lot of information in books. That's great, but there lacks a lot of nuance. And somebody like Kasey or myself, we have different pieces of nuance that are what can help you kind of crack those pieces open, right?
Yeah, I know. I was even thinking as you said that. I think Conor McGregor. I'm pretty sure the fighter was talking about. I think he did like a. I think he hired Tony Robbins actually for like mindset
Yeah,
work.
sure.
And like so it's like people that are at these like extreme levels of like wealth and
Yeah.
fame and all those things, like they hire people too,
Yes.
to sharpen their craft and to
Yes.
become stronger and more resilient humans.
Hmm.
And I think that's really what coaching is.
Yes.
It's high level leaders wanting to get next to other high level leaders and being able to hone their craft and sharpen their skills even more. And it's funny what you said about the ADHD piece of things where uh, because I don't think I have ADHD, but my entire life was, be quiet, be nice, be the good girl. That whole thing, I was like the straight A student, the perfectionist. It had to
Same.
be done right, or I was a failure, like
Yep.
all of that. And so it was so difficult to unlearn that in the
Yes.
online space.
Hmm.
Everyone was like, well, be authentic and be yourself. And I'm like, I don't know who I am.
Be
I have
you.
no idea. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so there was a lot of, I think that was probably the biggest transformation in my own mentorship spaces of like, I had to learn who I was, and there
Hmm.
learn the pieces of me that still needed to come forward.
Yes.
And it's funny what you realize that you don't think you're hiding, but you're actually hiding.
Oh, you're right. Oh, honey, it's so funny because that phrase is used all over the fucking place. Just be you. Just be you.
It's
And when
often such a platitude.
right, and one of the things that, and literally over the last 2+ years since since ADHD came onto my radar, but really since my diagnosis, I had to think to myself, what parts and pieces of my beliefs are mine and what are others?
Oh my
What belong
gosh.
to me? What do
Yes.
not? I had to go in and unroot and extract and heal. I had to heal from the times when people told me, "Oh, people think you're fake because you're too happy all the time." I had a boss tell me that. I'm like, "Bitch, I am here in front of I was a CrossFit level 1 trainer and I'm like, "I am in front of 15 of your members in your gym and you want me to act like a dick?" Okay, if
You want me to
that's
be sad?
really what you, but coming and telling me that people think I'm fake because I'm happy all the time, I'm like, what kind of feedback is that bullshit? It was a dude, of course, it was a male owner. And but we hear this weird shit and it takes root. Mine was back in 2nd grade. I had a teacher who wrote, if Carrie doesn't learn how to stop talking so much, she's not going to have any friends. And I read that when I was 19. I found that report card, I read it, and that rooted in my brain, and I lived by that for a long time. If I just wasn't, I need to be more quiet, I need to be smaller. Now I think it's fucking hilarious that I found a job where I am literally using my voice a lot and talking about my opinions and putting those out there. But it has still been a brutal process that took
Yeah.
healing and unlearning to really dig into who you are. And I think you and I both will say this with our full chest. It's like, we'll both encourage you to find out the parts and pieces that don't belong to you
Yeah.
and start to get rid of those, because that is what brings forward the full parts and pieces of you, where somebody says, be you. And you're like, I am, bitch, unapologetically every fucking day. Because I can say that now. I don't change my personality in different spaces. I swear less in front of children. That's what you get. Okay. Like I'm a sailor. I swear inside of my, my products. It's like, I don't want you to think you're getting something you're not. I'm going to be me. Whether you walk up to me on the street and talk to me, you hear me in the podcast, it's the same. But for a long time, or early in our business, we don't do that. We're a good girl. We're going to do things by the rules. We're going to do what we think works. And then you're like, this shit ain't working. And then you fucking let your freak flag fly. And that thing that you've been holding back is the thing, or those things are the pieces your fucking people love about you the most.
Yes. And it will make you so much more money in the long run.
Yes.
Truthfully.
It
Like when you
will.
finally just let those pieces of you out. Like I just remember stripping away everything and
Yes.
stripping away all of the rules and the templates and the frameworks and you have to look a certain way when you show up. You have to wear whatever. I'm like, I show up to coaching calls in a hoodie sweatshirt.
Yeah.
I'm like, it just is. You get what you get, and like that doesn't make me any less of a high level leader.
No.
If
Makes you
anything, it makes me
human,
just
by
more
the way.
true to who I am.
Yes, it
Right.
makes you
And
human. Yeah.
so it's almost like it gives our clients, and I know you're going to resonate with this too, but like we give our clients permission to be themselves too.
Yes. Yes. And I, one of my mentors, I love her. She's a fucking sexy bitch. Her content is sexy. She's sexy. Everything that she does is dripping in sexy. And I'm just like, I wish I was that kind of sexy. But
You're
then
like,
but you know what I mean? But what I realized was I am that, not sexy, the sexy piece, but like my humor, or like whatever, my feralness, my just what the fuck ever attitude is that kind of sensation for others that need to hear it. And so, because I was trying on parts and pieces of other people and thinking, oh, this is how it has to look and this is what I have to do. And when I fucking decided to just shed all of that, I put my blinders on for 6 months. I did not look at any other coach's shit. I did not listen to any of my friends' podcasts. I did none of that. And I honed in for 6 months on what is of me, what programs are of me, what are the things that I do best for my clients, what are the best transformations that they have, what do I want all of that to look like. And man, it changed my business so much. I can't even describe it, how different things became, because we have to get to a point also where we stop looking around at
Yeah.
others. I mean, I know really high level social media people who they don't look at each other's shit
Mm-hmm.
because
They're
comparison
so
is
in
a
their
thief
own
of
lane.
comparison is a thief of joy. It's going to take your joy when you don't even realize it's doing that. So when you are in a place of growing in your business, and entrepreneurship is no bullshit. Like if you want the most personal growth you've ever had in your life, start a fucking business.
Yep, I say it all the time.
If you want to get to know yourself better than you've ever known yourself before, and you want to understand why you do certain things the way you do, and you want mirrors in your face all the time, start a business. But there comes a point where you have to put those blinders on. Did you watch what was it, the Jimmy Iovine, is it not 50 Cent, but the Beat, it was about the Beats headphones, and I can't remember the name of
No.
the documentary, but basically Jimmy Iovine, he's a huge music mogul. He's like, look, they put blinders on racehorses for a reason. If those racehorses suddenly
Mm-hmm.
start looking around, they're going to trip on their own feet, trip on the other feet. And it shows this tumbling of all of these horses toppling all over each other because a
Oh my
horse looked
God.
in around themselves, right? And so
Yeah.
they literally talk about the fact they have to put blinders onto racehorses so that doesn't happen. And I really encourage anybody who's in a shift right now to do that, to
Yes.
please do that, and to have a mentor or coach that you trust and stop looking around at everybody else and trust that they're there to do the best for you. Would you say that that's something you would want people to lean in to also? Yeah,
Yes.
I had a
Yes.
feeling.
And like I've been nodding this whole time. Like
Yeah.
yes to all of that. I tell my clients, I'm like, if you have to mute me, like mute me. Like I don't
Yes.
even care.
Please.
But like you need to get so like obsessed with your own work and obsessed with the
Yes.
way that you do it and just
Yes.
forget what everybody else is doing.
And that's what really makes you one of one. That's what really makes
Yeah.
you stand out in that sea of
Yeah.
sameness. And so, if you're going to leave the people with one final thought, any thought that you wanted to leave the women who are listening to this podcast with, what would you want to say about the whole be you thing? What would you leave them
Oh,
with?
oh my gosh. Oh, there's always like a million different directions I feel like I could go with this question. It's like, what do you want to leave people with? I'm like, everything. Um, I, I think really what it is find it's a couple things. Finding a mentor first and foremost that's going to help you tap into your own genius. That's going to
Mm-hmm.
help you extract the pieces of you that actually set you apart and make you different. I had this with a client.
Yes.
She came in and she's a functional nutritionist, and so she runs lab testing like up the wazoo, and she
Mm-hmm.
loves the data, loves the numbers, loves talking about lab testing. And I'm like, we have to pull that into your content. Like you're not talking about
Yes.
that enough. Like that's your zone of genius, right? So
Right.
finding someone who's actually going to help you do that. But I think also at the same time, it's learning to have a level of discernment, I think, over what is
Mm.
meant for you and what is not meant for you. Because the online
Yes.
space is full of so many different people talking about so many different modalities. This is the way, that's the way. It's your content, it's your messaging, it's your this, it's your that. And it's like, if you are ping ponging with 100 different mentors that are telling you 100
Yes.
different things, you're not going to get anywhere. You're like
You.
swimming in circles or I don't know, canoeing in circles in a river or something like that, whatever you want that to look like. But
Yes.
you have to be so just zeroed in on where
Yes.
you're going, what's going to get you there, what's moving the needle, what's making you stand out. And again, like blinders on, you
Yes.
know?
And I tell my clients, because we're multi-passionate, just because you can doesn't mean that you have to. And you can market certain elements of what you do. And then if you happen to do other things and a client is talking to you about something and you want to do it, that's just a fucking added bonus for them. They're like, oh, you do that?
Right, right. I know.
It's like you get to bring those elements in anyway, but focusing on, a few of those things that you do the fucking best and going all in on that and figuring out how that works for you on the front end and on the back end, because if your front end looks pretty and your back end is a shit show, your business at some point will catch up and bite your butt. So at
Yes.
some point, you have to start looking at that. I know multi 7-figure business owners who hardly looked at their back end systems until they were over 7 figures. And it's like, you will
Mhm.
get there, but at some point, you have to look at that. You will have to.
Yep.
So, I love that, what you're leaving people with. I think this is a fantastic fucking conversation. I'm so glad that you came and had this conversation with me, because I think in the coaching industry, and I think just in strategy and marketing and things like that, I think we need to be talking to each other
I
as
think so too.
colleagues, not as competition or, oh, you're better. No, we each bring our own sauce, our own individuality to things. And so I love having these conversations with other humans who do similar things to me, because I do like to see that different perspective. And I think that's just important. We have to not get so hyper focused on other people and what they do, but we definitely want to talk to each other. It's
Yeah,
like there's no, again, collaboration. Just it's going to get you further every fucking time when you when you are there to root for each other instead of tear each other down, because there's enough of that out in the world. We don't need to be bringing that shit around here.
I
So
know. We really don't need any more of that. And
yeah,
like, there's a reason that I've, done so many Instagram lives with other amazing women in the
yeah,
industry. And it's like, yeah, this is all just collaborative. Like, I'm not going to be for everyone. You're not going to be for everyone. That's the whole point. So, like,
yes.
why would we sit here and try to compete with each other when that's the case?
Ding, ding, ding. And we will end with that. Thank you so much for being here today. And I am so grateful to have had you. I will pop all of Kasey's information into the show notes. If you want to reach out to her, I'll give you a couple of different ways you can get to her. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much for having me, Carrie.
You're welcome. Tell the people bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye. I hope you loved that interview with Kasey. She is incredible. I will put all of her information in the show notes so you can find out how to follow her. And with that, I am going to end today's episode. If you love this episode, please subscribe to the podcast, give it a 5-star rating and a review, tell a friend, send me a note by carrier pigeon with what you loved, or drop it in the DMs to me on Instagram. Let me know what you got out of the episode. I'm a connection queen and I love hearing from you. So until next week, I see you. I love you. And I am fucking rooting for you always. Stay feral. Bye. Oh, hey, you're still here. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the ways to follow me. And of course, my goal is to find and help as many women with ADHD get away from the 9-to-5 grind, because it's just not designed for our neurospicy brilliance, and there are other ways to do life. So by subscribing, sharing, and giving a 5-star review, it helps other women find this podcast as well. And if there's an episode you really love, please feel free to take a screenshot and share it on your social and tag me in it so that I can thank you personally. Until next time, you spicy brained unicorn. Bye.